Is There More is the podcast where creators share how their darkest moments became the breakthroughs that changed everything. We're building a space for raw stories, deep connection, and real hope for everyone who's still writing their story. Brought to you by Dialogue Life Skills, the world's scalable solution to the teen and young adult mental health crisis. I'm your host, 𝒂𝒐𝒐𝒐, and I'm listening. Manny and I met working on a set we both barely even wanted to remember. And now he's making feature films, editing on an iMac from 2012. It's practically on life support. But the important part is he's posting every day and building a filmmaking career completely outside the traditional ecosystem. In this episode, I talked to filmmaker Manny Liotta about being obsessed with movies since childhood, why he walked away from waiting for acting roles, and how he turned that obsession into writing, directing, editing, and creating his own projects completely on his own terms. We also get into his upcoming feature film, 𝒀𝒐𝒖'𝒍𝒍, which is an analog addiction thriller about media consumption, obsession, and what happens when you stay plugged in a little bit too long. And yes, it is based on his own personal life experience, but I'm gonna let him tell you that part himself. Okay, let's get into it. How's it going? How you
Good.
doing?
How are you doing? I was trying to think, where did we meet?
Okay, so we met on, it was 2023, and we were on, I can't remember the name of the film, but it was a set. And I think we were both doing PA, but you were doing like some other kind of
Oh
PA
shit, okay.
thing. And it was like, I will remember it because it was like the comedians were there and we were at the comedy clubs and it was like,
That's what I mean. I feel like I blocked it out because that all sounds so familiar, but I cannot think of the life of me what the job was.
listen, that was a dark time.
That was
I don't know about you.
Yeah, that was tragic for me. I think that's why I blocked it out temporarily. I'm getting a pinwheel, so I might. Oh my god, this has never happened before. I'm gonna. Oh wait, there we go. Whoa! It just like completely fast forwarded throughout time. That was crazy. Okay, I think we're good now.
Are you on Google Chrome browser by any chance?
Unfortunately,
Why is that
I don't like
unfortunate?
Google
But
Chrome.
no, that's what it works best
Oh, okay.
on. You don't? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan. Don't
Are
tell
you like
Google.
a Safari?
No, I'm not even. I'm just.
I won't.
What do they call it? Firefox. I used to like that. That was fun back in the day.
Manny, no.
Nobody uses
You
that.
just basically said Yahoo. I have a Yahoo email.
Hotmail. Yeah, it's Hotmail. I do. I have a little Hotmail account. I don't know. I think it's called 𝒀𝒐𝒖'𝒍𝒍 fan. I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, whatever job we were on, yeah, that was. I blocked that out of my head.
Okay, well, we're here now. So that's where we met. So I followed you from that. And then from there, I like remember I would watch your Letterboxd. It's Letterboxd, right? That you do all the content for, or do you just do your own content for movie
It's like
reviews
half
too?
and half. Or I guess more of my own content now, but I do videos for Letterboxd from time and time again. But I've been full force doing my own, I guess, content creation work since full time since July. So
Nice. Oh
yeah,
wow.
it's been a
How's that been going? Because I've been seeing, I saw a bunch of your content in the past, and it was funny because I was thinking about it, and I was like, and then the algorithm stopped serving it to me until I saw your recent breakdown of your new feature film, 𝒀𝒐𝒖'𝒍𝒍. So that's when I was like, oh my gosh, Manny, I totally like had forgot.
Well, I have separate accounts, and like I don't want to bombard my main account with all my stuff because I post every day on TikTok and Facebook, and I have a separate Instagram for my other videos, my main videos where I talk about movie recommendations and movies that people should watch. But filmmaking stuff specifically and any brand deals that I do go on my main account. So that's probably why you haven't seen any of my stuff, and that's for the better because you'll be annoyed. Frankly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm annoyed.
Okay,
I'm
sure.
annoyed by I'm editing I have like a giant iMac right now, and I'm like having to edit like 8 videos in a row right now. So I'm tired of hearing my own voice.
Yeah, I can imagine because you create a lot.
Yeah,
But
so much.
I wish you could turn your computer around to see your giant iMac so I could see your
Yeah,
setup.
literally, it's like a 2000. This might be a 2012 iMac. Like, it's honestly probably best. Nobody should see this. It's sad. It's like huge, but it's old. And I'm editing the feature film on this thing right now. And by golly, by miracle, I don't know how it's working, but I'm able to get this thing. I think it's on its last legs with this film. So I'm like putting it in the ground. So Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty fun.
well, it's done it's done a great job,
Yeah.
like, from then to
It's had a
now.
decade and some change to make all this content creation and movies and stuff like that, and the laptop I'm doing this on right now is a 2014 MacBook Air that I bought from some guy in a Starbucks in Ohio and edited my first
Wow.
short films on. I won't get rid of it for whatever reason, so I don't know.
Okay, so you just have this thing where you want to basically tell people like, "Hey, you can do it." Like, "I'm editing this on a 2012 iMac computer," or "I only this is what I have and this is what I'm doing with it."
Yeah,
And which I think is amazing. I think it's amazing, and I really wanna before we even dive in deeper, I really actually wanna watch I know you're sick and tired of hearing your own voice, but I wanna watch the video you made describing all the different things you're doing for your feature film,
sure.
and then kinda, like, break it down from there. So, you don't have to you can put it on mute, but I'm gonna play it really
Okay.
quick.
No, I'll listen.
I just made a feature film with no money. I am the writer, director, cinematographer, lead producer, sound designer, editor, and colorist of my debut feature film, Face Tape. This is an analog thriller addiction drama about a young man who's addicted to a VR analog drug called Face Tape, and how as soon as he tries to get his life back on track, everything falls apart. The film is 90% shot. We're almost complete with principal photography, and I've been editing every single day that we haven't been filming. And this has all been gearing up for the film to be complete by April at the very latest. I started writing the script in late 2024 and fully developing it by the end of January 2025. I hand drew storyboards that are about 50 pages long for the entire film in February. I worked with a couple friends to plan the production schedule, geared up a bunch of stuff by buying a new camera, understanding how these lenses and camera work, and building up my arsenal bit by bit with a new tripod. And then boom, by the time June hit, we were off to the races, and we've been filming on and off since then. I think there's a stigma about feature filmmaking that a lot of people don't understand, which is you don't need a certain threshold of budget. You don't need a certain level of talent that is in the marketplace of whatever the film industry is, which technically there's really no industry right now. I'm the industry, you're the industry. There's a lot of shaking in a snow globe going on right now in terms of what is even considered a film in the marketplace. And I will tell you right now, after co-directing a $5,000 old Hollywood musical last year called 𝒀𝒐𝒖'𝒍𝒍, and we were shooting for the stars in terms of the high glossy old Hollywood Technicolor feel of that film with literally no money at all. Anything is possible. I shot for the stars and made one of the most unique and ethereal short film experiments I think anybody's ever made for $5,000, and then immediately flipped it on its head and made a street level gritty feature film that I did pretty much every single job on, excluding of course all the incredible friends that have come in and out of the production, and my lead actor who's been a part of every single scene wearing the same outfit because the whole film takes place in a single day. These are all just little things I want to talk about and mention because I think it's hard for people to understand that you can make a movie with what you have. It all starts with a refined script that you should be cleaning up and working on new drafts with. If that script is not hitting like draft 20, then you should not be filming. And people should understand the inner mechanics of actual filmmaking, camera work, lighting, the expressionistic use of lighting, and of course sound design and sound recording. These are all very important techniques, but when you're doing a movie all yourself and making it all yourself from the ground up, and you're basically doing every single job like I've done, you need to make sure you're on top of every single aspect and have your ducks in a row, or else the entire thing's gonna fall flat on its ass. Look at all these movies behind me. Okay, I didn't go to film school. I just love movies. I've been studying them for about 3 decades. I'm about to turn 29 this year, and I have a feature film under my belt. I want to destigmatize and demystify the actual art of no-budget filmmaking, because you can absolutely make a huge movie with nothing. And the rules are changing. The studios don't even know what's going on in this apartment in Hollywood.
God, how do you do it all? Okay, where do we
Yeah.
start? Just start from the top.
I don't
How
know.
did you even get all the aspects of filmmaking in the first like, what was your first I know you were an actor first, um, and then you changed. So, what made you wanna drop acting and start directing and filmmaking?
Uh, it's strange because yeah, I do listen to that video, and I understand X, Y, and Z of kind of like the structure of how I got here, or how I guess I am the maker of my own madness. But at the end of the day, it's very I don't know, it's very simple. Like I it sounds cliche, but I kind of just was born loving film. I remember the first movie I ever saw, which was Liar Liar with Jim Carrey. For whatever reason, that was the first movie I ever saw. I remember it to a T, what it felt like to watch a movie and what the power of a movie is and a screen. And um, I don't know. I was just so enamored by the medium at a very, very impressionable age, aka 2 or 3. I don't know. It was like very, very sudden in my life. And so I always had an affinity for that. And then growing up in Ohio, I just had a love of creating videos on this. This is actually the same camcorder that I grew up making videos on. So me and my younger brother would do stop motion animations in camera. So we would, you know, record, press pause, and then move a figure, and then press play again, record, move, and do the thing over and over again. And I actually use this camera for my feature for a lot of stuff. So it's all been it's very strange. Like it just all has been all encompassing. And then I had a chance to act at a very young age as well. I think I was in third grade. I started very, very young as an actor on camera for some I think industrial work in Ohio. And then that swayed me into doing theater with adults very young at a young age. And then I started working primarily with, adult actors at a very young age, doing scripts that were way ahead of my maturity level, but I understood them. And then started taking acting in the I guess entertainment business very seriously at a young age because I was making money from it, and I was just working the entire process like you would if you were to just start acting at any point in your life. I just started very young, and my mom became my manager and stuff. So long story short, like that all kind of expedited into doing Shakespeare, and I was meeting a lot of, again, older actors, and then eventually, as this was all happening, I was discovering movies in my own way. I was obsessed with film. I was reading about film nonstop, and it just came to a point where everyone was telling me how knowledgeable I was and how much I cared about movies at the age that I was, which was very, very young comparatively to everybody else. And I knew more than most people that I was acting with, and I cared more about most people that I was acting with. And that's not a detriment to them. It's just I just had this all-encompassing fire about film. And at some point, late 2020 or into the 2010s, something just made so much sense to just be like, I've done acting my whole life. And frankly, I love actors so much, and I have so much respect for actors because you do not, in a way, have control of your own destiny. You're almost waiting for the parts. You're auditioning. You're giving your destiny up as an actor, and that's the fun part of acting, because when you land a role, it's the greatest gift of all time. And I've been blessed to have been part of some really incredible productions throughout my whole life, even as a young child in film. But I realized personally I wasn't going to be able to just have my destiny be in the hands of somebody else, especially in this line of work. Which I don't. I'm like worried of like everybody, or weary of everybody. So I decided to just learn filmmaking in my own way, start screenwriting. I didn't go to college for it. I barely passed high school because all I cared about was movies in high school, and I was just working on scripts and making videos out of high school. And I was making videos in high school, and they were very, very unsupportive, I should say. So to that detriment, I would say repressed creatively in high school. So naturally I had a stigma against academia. So it just was all the trajectory.
Why was that?
Because specifically in Ohio, in the town I grew up in, we had a media arts kind of class for the high school specifically. I went to vocational school as well during high school. So junior and senior year, I would go to this media school that was like, about 30 minutes away, and I would learn filmmaking, and we would do it in a very organic, creative way. So that, in a way, was 2 years half days of high school throughout my last 2 years of high school of film school for me. But regular high school is just rubbed me the wrong way, and I was forced to learn and stuff that I didn't care about, and I could just feel the institution of everything. I'm very self-aware about the infrastructure of
Yeah.
this country and how things are built, and I just call BS on it. So as soon as I graduated high school, barely, I was like, I'm not going to film school. I'm not doing any of this. I'm just going to work at a movie theater, which is what I did. And I also worked at a movie record store. And my life was just outside of high school, just cinema and working and trying to experience life in a way where I can have some really intense experiences um, through just growing up and coming of age just on my own. And then I moved out here in 2019, and I've been just pedal to the metal pretty much every single day since that. And it's nothing's really changed. My life is pretty much movies 24/7, 365. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically the path trajectory of how perhaps I got to be where I'm at. It's a very overwinded response, so sorry.
No. So if let me see if I got that. So you always had a love for movies, like since a very young age, and you saw Jim Carrey's what was the which Jim Carrey movie
Liar,
was it?
liar.
Liar, Liar. Yeah, you saw Jim Carrey's Liar, Liar so early at like age
Yeah.
2, and that kind of had a big impact on you, and you grew up acting, and your mom became your manager, and you were always sort of in the acting world, and you realized at a certain point that you didn't have control of your own destiny, so you wanted to start making films instead of just acting in films, and then you moved to LA in 2019, and you've been grinding ever since, experiencing life and also putting those experiences into your work. Did I get
Yeah,
that?
that's a way better summary of the whole thing. I just was a blabbermouth about it, but yeah.
No, you gave all the
Sure,
details.
sure.
Is there more to that?
I don't know. I'll just say I've always felt like even though a part of I've been a part of the business at such a very young age, and I understood the cutthroat nature of this business at such a young age because I was, in third grade, fourth grade auditioning and getting cut for auditions and getting cut for parts. And I don't know, I've always felt like an outsider looking in, especially coming from a cliche place like Ohio. And so I feel like that's always been my mentality when I create the work that I create. And I feel like that's been very beneficial for my, I think, career trajectory because for whatever reason I believe that there is there's like a line between people who are on this side of the business and the people who are on this side of the business, the other side. And we spend most of our life trying to get through that line and get over to the other side. I personally feel like no matter what happens in my life, everything that's led me to where I'm at right now is always on this side. And perhaps I'm trying to cross on
Mm,
the other side, but it doesn't matter because to me, I'm always an outsider. So even if I cross the other line, of whatever the imaginary equation is, I'm still going to be the same person I was growing up and spending these, 30 years enamored with the craft and enamored with the magic of cinema. So I think that's been a very
yeah.
important detail in the journey process for me. Because I think we like to just kind of always forget where we came from and reinvent ourselves. And I love that for human beings because that's what we do. We're an adaptation creature, always just adapting and moving forward. But I'm a nostalgia junkie, so I always hold on to everything that's built me to where I'm at. So I don't know what that says about me,
Okay.
but
So is that what you mean by you're an outsider? Or do you mean you're an outsider because you've been in the system, but you're never going to like submit to the system?
it's like the fun thing is like you have to play the game of this business if you want to get to where you want to get to, which is do I want to make films with money, like some serious money attached and stars attached, whatever stars mean at this point. Sure, I believe in the infrastructure of what this what movies have been the movie making process in the United States over the last 70, 80 years. I believe in that. But having said that, I don't abide by this traditional way that we all look at how you need to put out a movie, how you need to make a movie, how you need to learn how to make a movie, and how you should express that you are a filmmaker. There's all these, that's kind of what my video was talking about in a way. It's something I talk about often, is there's a stigma against people who aren't doing things in a very traditional sense, because the traditional way of how small independent films have gone through this like process of getting into festivals, and then all these things have aligned films on a smaller side to be what they are through the pipeline of whatever the industry is. But I don't believe in that, and that's primarily because I'm making very, very crazy stuff that I don't believe even fits into whatever curation or program that most film festivals offer. I've not really even um explored that as much as I probably should with my films, just because I make a movie, I submit it to a handful of festivals, and then I move on. And these festivals are not big ones, they're just little ones that, I don't know, I'm just like dipping my toes in the water. But I don't believe in that, the system. I believe it's all just up for grabs. So that's where the outsider mentality comes in for sure. And it rubs people the wrong way. People are like, oh, that's really not the correct way you're supposed to think about this. And I'm like, there's technically no correct way. I don't know.
It's cool the way that you think about that, because it's almost like you have such a respect for the craft, and the way that it's been done. However, you see that the distribution is obviously changing anyway, so it doesn't need to be like one way. It needs to be however you want it to be, and a lot of that now is online. And that's great that you're just like doing it for the love of doing it, and you're submitting it to festivals, but you're also just putting it out for people to watch and moving to the next
Well,
project.
it's direct
Uh,
consumption in a way. That's what I think we are at in the digital space right now, in the digital age. You can go on any sort of streaming service and directly get what you need to get. Now, obviously, we're fighting that because we want people to go to the movies, but my movie perhaps won't play in a movie theater. My feature film I just made, that's not going to play in a movie theater perhaps around the nation. So my favorite thing that is in my mind is just directly give it to everybody, and promote it and put money into like working it into an algorithm, because these are the fun things you have to do if you want the work to be seen. And personally for me, exposure is, at this point in my life, 1,000 times better than monetization. I'd rather people see the
why?
work always than
Okay.
get a recoupment for the work. And that's why I make everything for nothing, because I don't really want return from it. I just want people to see the work, because I know it's absolutely out of this world, and there's nobody, I think, making the work that me and my incredible team of friends have been working on the last 7 years specifically. So
Wow. So you've had the same team for the past 7 years?
it's a rotation of friends that just I beg and are very sick of me, but they love me and they see that I am a workhorse and I don't stop, and they want to help facilitate that by just kind of standing by the wayside and helping me out a little bit with every project I've done. But I'm the one doing pretty much every single thing. But I've had a really incredible group of friends who have been nothing but supportive and helpful and assistant to everything that I've ever done filmmaking wise, because is filmmaking is incredible, because it's everybody, it's so many people, um and I only have a limited amount of people that I work with, but I can count every film I've ever made where I have 5 friends, 4 friends on, and we're pulling all-nighters. We shot one short film for 20 hours once, and then woke up 4 hours later and then shot another 12 hours. I I don't know how I did that, and I don't agree with the fact that we did that, but I got a short film in a weekend out of it, and we have some incredible work to show for it. So I digress.
Sometimes, yeah, you just gotta do it and just do it right there,
Absolutely.
because everything else, like, that's yeah, that's sick. I have a totally opposite, like, upbringing from you. I wasn't allowed to watch anything growing up and didn't have, like, TV or anything, and, so I didn't really see my first, like, independent movie or any good movies until I was 18 and out of my parents' house. And so I just remember when you said it was, you know, there's so many people working on a film. For me, it was like watching the credits and finally it clicking like, oh my God, there's like thousands of people working on one project towards one goal. And that's when I was like, I want to be a part of
Wow.
that because I thought it was so cool how all the different departments came together to execute one thing. Um, so yeah, I love the collaboration of filmmaking and just like finding people who are so good at what they
Yeah.
do, you know, like such a good editor or such a good cinematographer. But in your case, you're like kind of like good at everything, which is really great that you can do, you know, so many parts. I was watching your director's reel earlier from this year and I was like, this is one of the most exciting director's reels I've seen in like a
I
very
saw you
long time.
tell me
It's
about
like exciting. Like
Yeah.
it's like you know, it makes you really feel many different things, which is like pretty rare.
Well, that's
So
how I, well,
um
I was gonna say to bounce on your point, like you have such a different perspective on film and movies and the craftsmanship of movie making because you saw at such a late stage in your life, and I honestly envy you because I know the ins and outs so much so, and I've dissected this. It's almost like a pumpkin where I've scraped out everything I could, but still can enjoy and love everything I watch and get lost in the magic of movies. But for you, it's such an amazing case study because you were kind of like you had all these years of just perhaps wonderment and excitement and curiosity about the medium, and then the second you kind of discovered it, it became like an absolute open door for everything. I think that's so beautiful. And then you get whatever the hell I'm doing from age 2 on to now because it's just been everything in my life every single year and day. And that's I appreciate the comments because it's a product or a byproduct rather of just the all-encompassing nature of my love of film and understanding the power of I wouldn't say manipulation of an audience member or viewer, but I know how to excite. I know how to envelop somebody and entice, um, which is very important if you're a filmmaker.
yeah, where do you think that skill comes from? Or is it yeah.
No, I know exactly where it comes from. It comes from just being an audience member and sitting through a lot of
Mm,
movies and being very picky on what I watch. I'm very I a lot of people think I watch a lot of movies. I think last year it was like 650 movies last year in total, which
wow.
is a lot. And I got a lot of work done too, which is great. So it wasn't just I was watching movies. I have Miami Vice on for some reason, so I keep watching the TV. So that's what I mean. I have to kind of like lock in here. But it becomes so encompassed in my viewpoint of what I want to watch and how picky I am with what I watch. And most of the time, it's stuff that I watch it a lot. I watch everything that I
Mhm.
want to see. And it's mainly stuff that's very sensory, meaning it's just very pleasing to the eyes and to the ears. And stuff that definitely is stylish and things that make you kind of sit in the world and get lost, which most movies can do. But there's a lot of movies that are just for sheer entertainment and um there's a baseline to your I think engagement, which is fine. I'm looking at films in a very different way, but most importantly as a viewer and as an audience member. And
Mhm.
I think at the end of the day that is one of my biggest strong suits is I know that I can be this person who loves movies so much but also be in the viewpoint of some person in Arkansas who sits down and gets enveloped in a movie once a month. How can I make that person engaged like that and get lost very quickly? So I try to put myself in the perspective of random people who don't watch movies or people that just want to get lost. And I think that's been a really big strong suit for the films that I make because it just, I don't know, I feel like it has a universal attachment for a lot of people. And the director's reel specifically is yeah, you're not the only person to come out and say that to me. I've had a lot of people reach out like and say that it really kind of gripped them and like charge them with some electricity of creative, fuel, and that's the greatest thing I could ask for, because I just love inspiring people for whatever passion or love or whatever they want to do. So
Yeah, that's definitely what I got from that is like inspiration. Are you the kind of person who sits and you watch and rewatch and rewatch and like just study one film at a time?
yes.
Or are you take yeah?
Well, so over here I have like a giant bookcase, and where I shoot most of my videos is in front of this like giant IKEA bookshelf that has like maybe 1,000 Blu-rays on it, because I collect physical media. I've been collecting since sophomore year of high school, so that was like maybe
Uh-huh.
2013 or 2012. So I've been doing it for a while. So I own a lot, and I've rewatched a lot of the things I own. And I rewatch a lot of my favorite movies very, very religiously, because I love the energy of certain films. I love getting lost in them, and I love revisiting them. I know a lot of people that don't do that, especially out here. A lot of
Mhm.
my friends are like, you rewatch the same things over and over again. But I love living in, like, I've seen Days Confused, I think 20 something times in the last few years. But like, I
Wow.
love living in that world. I love that film. um, I'm looking at a poster for this movie, After Hours by Martin Scorsese. I love that film. I've seen it maybe 19
So good.
times. I'm wearing a After Hours shirt under here as well. That's what I mean. Like, if I love a film, I just attach myself. But I
Yeah.
watch a lot of also movies I've never seen before, and dive into world cinema, from countries I don't think I will ever visit in this time, just because there is not a lot of
Yeah.
time. But perhaps maybe I go to Sweden, I go to Japan, I go to India, I try to go to Ireland. I try to go everywhere, and my, I guess, vicarious world cinema discovery, um, kind of journey. So.
Wow. That's cool. Do you watch them in different languages or you watch them all in
No,
English?
I have to watch them all in their native language. And that's a funny, great, actually, that's a good topic that I love talking to people about, because a lot of people have a hard time watching movies, foreign films, which I
Yeah.
completely understand. I just knew that if I was going to love movies as much as I do, there was a point in my life where I had to cross the threshold and give in, and start watching foreign films in a very serious way, by treating it like any other movie. And so I trained
Mhm.
myself to watch certain types of foreign films that were very slow, in black and white and older. Primarily, there's a Swedish director, Ingmar Bergman. I started watching his movies very early on.
He inspired, Stanley Kubrick's work a
Oh,
lot, right?
absolutely. Yes. He is probably the
Yeah,
most influential. There's so many influential filmmakers, but this guy
yeah,
was just an unbelievable, problematic workhorse, in the sense that he didn't stop working, so much so they put himself in the hospital often. He neglected a lot of people he loved. He's like a very bad case study of a master
uh-huh,
craftsman. But you watch the films, and you look at the subtitles of his writing, and you see the emotions, and you're like, there's not a single other filmmaker on planet Earth that's ever walked this earth that did what Ingmar Bergman did, and he's made so many films. And so he was a big jumping point for me to just kind of dive into world cinema, and I fell in love so easily. It made so much sense to me to watch a movie from like 1959 in Sweden and see the subtitles and get lost in the craftsmanship and the world and the story. It's like any other movie. It just takes a little muscle refinement, and a little more engagement, because you have to
yeah,
read and watch, and it's not as hard as people think. But it's a certain level of like, um I think, in demand of the art form and engagement, rather than something
huh,
that's in English that you could just kind of, maybe even zone out a little bit but retain the information. So, but in a different language, you
I
have to
don't
just
like
be in. So, yeah.
yeah. Some Swedish movies are, like, some of the best movies I've seen. I don't really know why, though. I don't know, like, why is their cinema better? I like Swedish, French, and, Italian movies a
Yeah.
lot from Europe, at least.
Italian,
But,
I'm Italian American, and One of my favorite filmmakers is this guy Federico Fellini, and he's made 8.5. Yeah,
Mhm.
8.5. The 𝒀𝒐𝒐𝒏. I mean, I've seen. He's the only foreign filmmaker, actually, I think for the most part, who I've seen every single film of his in his entire filmography.
Wow.
He has like maybe
Oh, wow.
25 movies. Um, because I just
8.5 is
that's
so
the.
good. It's
If you
so
ask
good.
me, that's the greatest movie ever made because it is without
Yeah.
being pretentious, it is cinema. Like that is
Yeah.
everything that I think movies are, through craft, but also
Mm.
through story and what people do when they are an artist. Because the lead character in 8.5 is this very, very, very I wouldn't say problematic. He's just a very open human being with who's like gives in to his own I think more moral issues. It's just a really human movie done in the most expressionistic and cinematic way possible. It's a complete reflection of Fellini as a filmmaker. Um I've seen that movie maybe like 20 something times too. I'm very obsessed with that film. But yeah, the artistry of of European cinema is it rivals pretty much any other countries in the world. I don't know where that comes from. I think it's just in the late 50s to the I would say mid 70s. There just was all these titans of film from around the world, and like Akira Kurosawa and Bergman, Fellini, Antonioni. I mean, there's so many of these crazy filmmakers. If you look at all of the world cinema filmmakers from that era. It's just like they were all putting out movie after movie every year, and it's unmatched how many movies we got. You know, Godard, and I have a 400 Blows poster right here. This is Francois Truffaut. Just yeah, and that's what I mean.
Awesome.
That's why I had to like kind of give myself over to the medium because there's so much to watch, and I want to be knowledgeable about it all so
Yeah.
I can kind of put it back into the movies I make and um, hopefully teach younger people how cool it is to enjoy foreign films.
What was your favorite movie of 2025?
Uh, it was, um, it was Marty Supreme. I saw that 6 times in theaters. Yeah,
That's a lot.
yeah. I
It was
responded to that energy of that movie very hard. Um,
me too.
yeah,
I was feeling like we needed it, like, as a collective. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is what we needed right now." Like,
absolutely.
oh,
It's got a
like, it really
it's alive. That's what it is. It's alive.
yeah.
And it's got an incredible soundtrack, and Timothy Chalamet's incredible. Just the ending is just one of the best things I've seen in a long time, and I couldn't get enough of it. So yeah, I saw it 6 times, and that made a lot of people go like,
Yeah.
"What are you doing? Are you okay?"
No, that's awesome, like, it's so cool. 6 times is a lot. I don't think I've ever gone more than, like, 3 to to the
Yeah.
theater,
You
but
don't need
it
to do.
was
Nobody needs to do 6.
it was such a great, movie, and it was so crazy too because I didn't even know I love the Safdie brothers. I've probably seen all of their movies, but I don't know why. I didn't know they directed it until I sat down and I was like, "This is Josh
Yeah.
Safdie." And I looked and I was like, "Holy shit, I can't believe I didn't even" I hadn't watched any of it. I'm somebody who does I don't like to watch
Oh yeah.
previews.
Right.
I don't like to know
Me
what's
neither.
happening.
Yeah,
Really?
I try to
Okay.
stay away from them as much as I humanly possibly can. Older films, it's a bit different. I like to see older film trailers and stuff like that, but new trailers, yeah, I usually can tell what I want to see from the get-go without just from a
Yeah.
poster. So I don't trailers they definitely
That's
reveal too much because they have to because of the way marketing is at this point in time. So it is what it is, but I didn't
wow.
know anything that was going to happen in that movie, so it really threw me off.
Me either, but I'm so glad you said that because 'cause I've never met anybody else who's been like, "Yeah, I don't watch trailers," so I don't feel
That's
as
so
weird now.
crazy. People shouldn't watch trailers. That's a
Yeah.
whole thing
I don't
I'll
think so
fight. And I
either.
used to grow up, that's probably a big part of my life too that I didn't think about. But like, I used to, before middle school and like elementary school, I used to come down from my bedroom and go to like, we had a little movie room It was just like a living room, but there was a TV in there and stuff. I called it the movie room. And I would sit and put on this channel called Nothing But Previews. I think that was the name of it, or Nothing But Trailers. And it was just at 7 in the morning, just like a hour long, just like reel of new trailers for new films. And so I would watch trailers for films growing up religiously. So yeah, I feel like it's embedded in me, but I don't watch them anymore because it's all changed.
It's insane. Okay, let's go back to Face Tape.
Oh, sure. Okay.
What in the world is an analog addiction thriller? What did you call it? Analog addiction thriller or something like that?
Yeah, analog addiction thriller. So there's a movement. I think the world's gonna kind of feel it very soon, especially this year. In the horror space specifically, called analog horror. It's on YouTube. If you look up analog horror, it's a very specific type of movement that a lot of people around the world were making, which uses analog VHS aesthetics to repurposes them to kind of, in a way, make these very disturbing lores and myths and creepypastas. I think Slender Man kind of came from analog horror and stuff like that. A lot of these internet mythologies, but analog horror specifically uses the technology of like VHS and camcorders and stuff. And I've always been obsessed with analog horror. I think it is a truly terrifying, uncanny nook and cranny of people's subconscious. I think we all kind of grew up with these aesthetics and we don't really know because they're just kind of buried in our subconscious. It almost evokes there was a movie that came out a few years ago called Skinamarink that was made for like $1 million, or not even. I'm sorry, it was made for like 30,000 or 40,000 from a dude in Canada. And the whole movie is like grainy, and there's no plot really. It's just these kids that wake up in the middle of the night and their parents are gone and there's no windows or doors in their house. They're like stuck in the house. And it's like this nightmare. Yeah, it's very, very strange and disturbing.
I'm already scared.
Yeah, it's scary. It is frightening. A lot of people thought it was stupid, but I think it tapped into something that was really subconsciously in everybody's brain. So naturally, I respond very much to that aesthetic in that world, and I've always wanted to do something like that. And I'm also a big fan of a lot of these films, for whatever reason, about addictions, whether that's drug addiction, whether that's any other sort of human, I think, addiction issue. I gravitate towards films like that because it's always super compelling to me. And so I was like, naturally wanted.
Is that
what?
Is that something you struggle with yourself, addiction?
Well, yeah, I'm addicted to watching movies in a way, and addicted to this lifestyle. And that's kind of what Face Tape is about, because I wanted to make a film that's super self-referential about the age of media consumption. We're in a digital age where there's a lot of media consumption. We're consuming things at a really crazy rate, and I'm a part of it because I'm on TikTok. A lot of people are on social media just ingesting information and watching videos. And I think in a weird way, we all are addicted to our phones. And that's a conversation a lot of people talk about, but I wanted to not make a film about that. And so I decided that I can kind of use this energy of being just very strong in our own, whatever, I guess it is addiction to everything that we face, and putting it into a story about a guy who is addicted to this drug called Face Tape, which in this pseudo universe, you would be plugging into this camcorder into these studs in your veins, sort of like a metaphor for heroin usage in a way.
Yeah.
And whatever tape is in that camcorder, and you press play on the camcorder, you can move inside of the camcorder and move around in it, and like vicariously, free will, move inside the tape. So it's almost like VR, analog, pure, if you were obsessed with a video on your phone, you could go inside of that video. I feel like that's kind of where my brain was at when I was creating that. And I made then the principal storyline about a guy who needs to cut it off and just in a single day tries to get his life back on track. And it's far from stable in terms of trying to get everything together, because usually that's what it's like for me. Most of the time I'm trying to get things on track and it's too late and I have to like pick up all the pieces. Nothing crazy, but just in general. Because of how much I work,
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh shit, I need to do all these things in life, and I always put them to the side. I'm a what do they call it, procrastinator for sure. When it
Mm,
comes to real life things, not work stuff. So
yes. Yeah, yeah. Wow, wow, wow. So, okay, how cool. So you made a film about diving in, like plugging in the the VHS tape, like heroin, and you can go to any part of the tape, like any part of the story that whatever tape is playing. Do you get to choose the tape,
yeah, whatever tape
or is it
goes
just
in,
whatever?
yeah, whatever tape is in that camcorder, yeah, and people pass them around in this world, and people exchange them and sell them and stuff like that. So it's just like underworld, very seedy, dark drug business in a way. Um,
What were the top like films that inspired this?
there's so many. Um, there's a lot. I have a really crazy list because I have on Letterboxd. You can tag on the bottom, like you
Mhm.
can write whatever, whatever tag you want, and that'll put it in a group of whatever else you've put as a tag. So, like for face tape, for example, I think I had maybe over the course of when I started the genesis of it, which was late 2024, all across 2025 into now. And there's got to be like 200 something entries in there just dedicated to face tape, which is just nobody should be doing that. That's that. No, I don't recommend anybody be as crazy as I am, but I would say
There's but if there's top
there is,
3,
yeah,
what are
sorry.
they?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's this movie called Videodrome by David Cronenberg. That's a huge inspiration. That was primarily known as one of the earliest iterations of analog horror. It's a
Mm,
really disturbing, incredible film about a seedy cable guy who finds this like crazy satellite kind of pickup of a really crazy station called Videodrome that starts to affect his mental state. And he starts to hallucinate and almost become one with Videodrome. It's a remarkable film. There's an incredible film called Strange Days that we absolutely are ripping off a little bit. Um, but we're ripping it off because nobody talks about this movie. Nobody really knows it exists, and it's one of the most big, gargantuan, excessive movies of the 1990s I've ever seen. It was made in '95 by Catherine Bigelow, and the script was co-written by
mm,
James Cameron, and he made the story. And it's a very similar premise about CDs being traded around, these little compact discs, um, and you can kind of live through other people's experiences that have recorded onto whatever disc. So we're taking a little bit from that film
mm.
specifically, but that's also because I want to get that movie back in conversation. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. Um, and then I would say there's a David Lynch film called Lost Highway from 1997. That is one of the most liminal and bizarre movies ever made. And tonally, that's just I love David Lynch so much, and I miss him because we lost him last January. So
Yeah.
that was always has been a North Star for me, that film. So, but I don't recommend everybody watch it. It's very disturbing and weird.
As his always
Sure,
are,
yeah, but I find a
but
beauty in the how weird and crazy.
they're amazing. If you have any kind of taste for him, I feel like you love all his movies. But
Absolutely.
R.I.P. David. Okay, wow. Okay, well that's really exciting. I'm excited for that to come out. Do you have a release date yet?
We are looking to
Or
get
sh-
it all locked and loaded by completely by the end of April. I think we're gonna start doing some preview screenings out here in LA. Just get very close people, and not close people, but just like anybody that's interested, and sit them down and let them see what this movie is because it's a very strange movie. And I think it's going to be very bizarre. And I need to gauge what people are even gonna think when they see it before I start to take it out to wherever I want to take it out to, which I don't have a plan for yet. I just want to get the movie done and to have people see it, because I do have a lot of people that are like, this is very insane. I'd love to see it. So
thanks for watching another episode of Is There More? If you want to go see Manny's movie Face Tape, it's going to be screening in late April in Los Angeles. Send me a DM and I will send you the link to get a ticket. And if you like this episode, if it did something for you, please send it to a friend and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. That was Manny Liotta. I'm 𝒀𝒂𝒕, and this has been Is There More? Thank you for listening.